I'm Sam Taggart with Can't Knock This, host of the first ever Door-to-Door Con, bringing professional collaboration to the direct selling and door-to-door industry. Go register your seat for our event, January 2018 at doortodoorcon.com. All right, everybody. I'm here with a super special guest, rock star CrossFit maniac, Nathaniel Olson. He was, in 90 days, did 608 satellite accounts. That's probably one of the records I've heard of in the satellite industry. So this is going to be an awesome podcast. We're doing this thing live, and we're basically going to go over a few things. We're going to go over how to sell big numbers, basically what it makes to be a top rep, closing strategies, things like that, language patterns. We're going to go over, kind of some of his balance, like how he does it, CrossFit. He was the 4-time regional competitor in the CrossFit Games, and that means they take 50 candidates out of, 30,000 you said?
It's about 30,000, yeah.
All over the southern South America, all over the place, and 50 actually even qualify to go to the games. And so as you can tell, sexy beast over here. But if we did a pull-up competition, I'd probably win in the game of golf, low score. And so super excited to have you on the show. This will be super awesome. So like this if you like Nathaniel and you know him. Let's dive into it. So how did you get into door-to-door? Like what kind of got you started? What got you? Yeah.
So got home from my LDS mission in December 2011, and before my mission, my brother was in my ear. He was telling me about this experience he had doing door-to-door. He loved it. He was able to balance, going to college, working. He was able to pay for his schooling. And so right when I got home, chatted with him, and just decided from day one, I'm in. I'm going to go out during the summer. And so May 2012, that was my first summer, and I've gone out every year since then. Kind of a funny story. I remember I was up at the U going to school, and I stayed up all night to study for a final. Took the final at 8 a.m. next morning. Took about a 2-hour nap, and then I started driving to Quincy, Illinois that same day. And I went about 21 hours straight to Quincy, Illinois.
All by yourself,
yep.
Just like...
All by myself. I was hungry. I was ready to get out there and start having success.
Cool.
Yeah.
And so you were studying at the U accounting, right?
Yeah. I was doing accounting. I did a semester at the U, and then I ended up transferring down to BYU, and then did an accounting degree, a 4-year degree down there.
So a lot of people in this business, they're kind of like, wow, should I go to school? Should I not? Like, you kind of learned, hey, accounting wasn't for you, but you at least finished it out, right?
Yeah, for sure. There's definitely a lot of skills, knowledge and good habits that I developed while I was going to school. And I wanted to venture down that path to see if it was for me, so that if I did stay in the sales industry, I could move forward and have no regrets. Yeah. And so I did do an internship at one point, realized that, accounting wasn't for me. And so I'm in it. I'm all in the sales industry, and I'm loving it.
Loving it. Now you're the current VP of sales training at New Star, which is phenomenal.
Yeah.
You guys did about 30,000 accounts this year, which is massive.
Yeah.
So it's cool to see just all stars from different industries and different, and I'm like super excited to kind of dive into this. It was funny because those that are watching this, me and Nathaniel go way back because we'd be texting each other. We both worked in Amarillo for multiple summers. Yep. Good old West Texas. If you sold there, comment on there because it is just flat. Like the towns around it are like Plainview and just these little fields. You're in these little podunk. But we both, that's where we made our money. Man.
Those were the training grounds, Amarillo, Texas.
Good old Borger, good old Bellhart. We both put in a lot of accounts there. I was there for 3 years too. And I sold in Little Rock, so we've kind of followed each other.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So let's kind of dive into, your progression. So it wasn't like year one. Yeah, what did you do your first year compared to, your best year, 608? Kind of tell us about.
Yeah, so year one, we started in Quincy, Illinois. We had about a group of 12 guys out there, a lot of rock stars, guys that performed at a high level, and ended up selling 280 accounts that summer, 280 installs. That summer was actually it was a bit of a struggle for me. Everyone's first summer is pretty difficult. I remember at one point during that summer, so we sell DirecTV, and the Viacom channels, MTV, Nickelodeon, Spike TV, they were temporarily blacked out on DirecTV. And so we were knocking doors, and I found out, some morning hey, by the way, DirecTV doesn't have Viacom right now, so good luck. Do your best.
Then you're in like the hood of Illinois.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
All black people.
Exactly. They want their MTV, they want
Yeah.
their BET, Spike TV, and so I'm like, oh shoot, this sucks. But I remember my brother. He's kind of been a mentor to me over the years, and he kind of saw that I was pitting myself a little bit, and he said, you know what? The second you start pitting yourself, you lose. You're gonna fail. And he said, you need to replace the expectations you had for the summer with appreciation. And so, I'd imagine the summer, being smooth, all the installs going in, being on the same page with all the technicians, having all the channels.
Because that's how you get recruited, right?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, we got the best techs, we got the best pay, it's going to be awesome. And then all of a sudden you get out there and you're like, this is not what I was expecting.
Absolutely. And so, I remember him having that conversation with me that day, and just that idea of replacing expectations with appreciation. Yeah. I'm still able to go out and knock. My car's running. I have technicians available to do work. And so, just push through that little trial there. It lasted for about a week, and then ended up finishing the summer strong. It's a great summer.
So what do you think made the difference between 280 to the next year? How many did you do?
Yeah, next year had about 15 more, finished at 295. Year 3 made a jump up to 370. Year 4 made the jump up to 380, and then year 5 was able to jump up to 608.
So you made kind of 2 periodical jumps: 280 range, 370 range, and then holy fetch, like new levels, new standards.
Yeah.
So what do you think creates a breakthrough like that? How does a rep go from, a lot of people maybe came home from the summer and they're like, yeah, it was about average. What makes that breakthrough to go from 270 to 370 or 370 to 600?
Yeah.
What do you think changed?
Yeah, so a couple things with that. I think commitment is huge. So those first 4 summers, I was actually preparing for this big CrossFit competition that was the beginning of June each year, and trying to sell hard. And so for the first month and a half of the summer, I was bouncing that. And so I was up 6 a.m., working out for about 3 hours, knocking hard throughout the day, trying to balance a correlation meeting.
So you're telling me my Beachbody 30-minute workout's not going to cut it? I'd be like,
no, I mean, you
fix 21-day fix extreme. That's my go-to. Kicks my butt.
No, I mean, everyone's got their own little thing, but it looks like it's working for you. But no, so I was trying to balance that, and so I couldn't really, jump all in with the sales 100% from day one, because I was balancing the CrossFit thing. What happened in year 5 with the 608 is that I actually had a pec injury, and so I wasn't able to compete that year in the regional games. And at first, when I had the pec injury, I was devastated. I wanted to compete, but in hindsight, looking back, that was a huge blessing for me. I was able to break through and hit over 600 accounts that year, because from day one I was all in, committed 100%.
Yeah.
And so
this became your CrossFit Games.
Exactly. Yeah. And so just pushing out all the distractions and being all in, that was huge for me. And then the other thing I would say that made a huge difference was putting massive amounts of pressure on myself to perform at a high level on a consistent basis every single day.
Because a lot of times what makes kind of an average rep, I've found, is they can have big spike weeks, but then they have like these low, and then spike weeks.
For sure.
I'm sure to go sell big numbers like that, it was every day is a massive day.
Yeah.
And it's just what you expect from yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I was, putting pressure on myself. Another thing in year 5 that changed was I told 2 of our technicians, I said, hey, I'm going to keep you busy all summer, okay? I'm going to take on
If you're
your
watching
workload.
this, listen to this, because this was my strategy to sell 400.
Yeah.
No joke. I'd go to a town by myself. I'm like, I need to sell for them, and I'm assuming that's where you're going.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's exactly where it's going. In years past, I just kind of had one personal tech, and so I was putting pressure on myself. He was putting pressure on me, and that worked well. I wanted to take it to the next level, and so May 1st, beginning of the summer, reached out to these techs. I said, hey, put the pressure on me. We're going to go hard this entire summer. I'm going to keep you busy the whole summer.
Both of you.
Both of you.
Yeah.
Don't pick up any other jobs. Just put the pressure on me. let's do this, let's sprint, let's make it happen.
And why that's so powerful is it's like, if I don't perform, they don't eat.
Exactly.
It's their livelihoods are 100% based on me performing. And so I found that it was huge for me to produce big numbers, because you're like, I'm out here, I drove way the freak out to like Stratford, or like, you know what I mean? You've been to like Hereford, or those little towns, and you're just like, I don't want to make this guy drive 2 hours to one way just to get nothing. Like, and it forced us to, I mean, that's powerful. And I think that's something that we haven't really touched on in any of these podcasts so far, because it probably is a very common trait to a lot of the top performers.
Yeah, absolutely. I would definitely recommend, if you want to take that next step, with your personal installs, create a strong friendship with your technicians and allow them to put pressure on you, because there's only a certain amount of pressure that you can put on yourself, but if you bring 2 other people into that equation, you're going to be able to perform at a higher level. I still remember the first week that year 5 summer, I saw one of the technicians pull into our apartment complex with his kids and just unloading groceries. And you're like, oh. And it hit me, and I was like, man, if I don't go hard for this guy, he's not feeding his kids. Yeah. And so that image, I let that sink into my mind. I let that motivate me every single day. I got to go hard, not only for me, but for other people that are relying on me.
And another piece of that is it forces you to sell early. Because if you're like, oh, I'll wait till 6 to get all my deals, then you're backed up. And you're like, oh, freak, now I can't even put in same days. Where if you're like, I sell early, they can get that one done, then hit me up with another one, and they can like, it's strategy to get early deals. Because I'm sure what was your goal? Like, you're going to have X amount of deals before what time?
Yeah. So my motto that summer was 5 by 5. 5 accounts by 5 o'clock, and then once prime time hits, the goal was to get another 5 accounts. And so my goal each day.
Wait, but nobody's home before 5. How do you do 5 before 5?
So it's funny you bring that up.
It's so true. Everybody's like, I can't sell. I'll just go out to prime time, and it's like, wait, your goal was half of your accounts came before prime time.
Yeah, absolutely. So. Funny thing, so we use Sales Rabbit. Sales Rabbit's awesome app. I know they're coming to Door to Door Con. Super excited about that. But it shows you in your area the names of customers and their ages. Okay, and so I realized everyone that's over 65 years old, they're home.
Should be home, yeah.
And so each night I'd make a plan. All right, these 20 people right here, they'll be home before 5 o'clock. I'm going to focus on them in the earlier hours.
So you would map out your early hours the night before, so you wouldn't waste time and you get those 5.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Wow, huge tip. Use technology. Don't be idiots. Powerful.
It works. Yeah, it was a race against the sun every day to try to get to 10.
What was your biggest week?
My biggest week was actually the last week of the summer. 60 installs the very last week. Yeah.
Freak.
That's beast mode.
That's beast mode. You 10 every day, like you just did it. That's so cool.
Yeah, it was a fun week. We were busy and we were rocking and rolling. It was good times.
Cool. So let's kind of move into how you did that. So the strategy to sell 60 in a week, to sell 600, to let's go into the sales psychology.
Sure.
We were talking a little bit about your book that you recommend. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So a couple books I've been reading recently. I feel like as a salesman, you get to a point where you get inside the customer's home, and if you're getting in, you're going to close them. I mean, I'm sure you felt that way.
The good ones say that.
Exactly. If you get in, you're going to close them. You feel pretty confident with it. And so I realized that, okay, now it's just all about time management. How quickly can I close these deals?
Yep.
How much content, how much presentation content can I condense into a shorter amount of time so I can get on to the next sell faster?
To sell 60 in a week, some people will be like, that's physically impossible, even if I worked all the hours, simply because their sales process takes an hour and a half. It's like you don't have time to do that many.
Exactly. And so what I did is I wrote out all the possible objections that customers would come up with. I don't want a satellite on my house. Is my price going to be going up after a year? Oh, I don't like the hassle of change. Wrote out all these objections, and I said, all right, my presentation is going to be embedded with little plug points
on each of
solutions of these objections, so that by the time I'm done with my presentation, they don't have any objections. I don't have to overcome those.
Yeah. And it's not a battle at the end.
Exactly.
I do my presentation, they sign up. And then reps that watch you, they're like, but you have all the laydowns. No, I create laydowns.
Yeah, exactly. And so, just trying to create a presentation with all the objections I could possibly come up with, and then closing and not really having to overcome objections along the way.
So what's your average sell time for a satellite account?
I would say from door knock to leaving the house, probably 15 to 20 minutes.
Wow.
We do a welcome call, and that usually takes about 5 to 7 minutes. But yeah, it's fairly quick. It's trying to get in, getting out. If they're not interested, I'm trying to detect that pretty quickly and then moving on to the next.
Yeah, pick your battle.
Yeah.
So you're not wasting an hour with some dude that just wants to tuck your ear off.
Exactly.
You're not going to buy this. Right?
Exactly.
I'm out.
Yeah.
Wait, you're a renter? Peace. Sorry, wrong house. It's not like, let's have a conversation. It's like, I'm out.
Yeah,
I'm out.
yeah, exactly.
So time management, what else?
That was huge. Yeah, time management was huge. The other thing was I kept it very, very simple for the customer. The biggest objection I feel people have is, I've been thinking about doing this. I want to save money on my bill, but I don't like the hassle of change. I just don't like the hassle of change. I don't want to have to worry about taking back my old equipment, blocking out 4 hours to wait for the technician to show up, learn all these new channels and whatnot. And so all of that, I said, hey, it's going to be a very, very simple, quick process for you. Okay, my technician, his name's Jay. He's finishing up with the neighbor. He'll be done with them in 10 minutes. I'll have him here. He's going to swap out the old satellite for a new one, replace your old receivers and remotes. It's going to take him all but 30 to 45 minutes, and you're good to go. You just take the old equipment, back to the local post office, and you're set.
Just mapping out, this is what's going to happen. It's not a big deal. I think that's probably one of the biggest resistance to buying is change. Yeah. They're just like, it's something new. I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
That's powerful. So, what were some of the lines that you'd use maybe throughout the sale to kind of pre-frame change?
Yeah.
You said, that's one of your objections that you want to smash on before the close.
For sure.
What were some of the things you'd say?
Yeah, so right off the bat, people don't want you to take a ton of time. And so right off the bat, it's, hey, just real quick, I'm in a hurry, I respect your time, I'll just be real quick with you. And so keeping time in the equation, talking about time, that was huge. Couple of other key lines with the hassle of change is I would consistently tell them, look, if you like what you have right now, you're going to love this new stuff because you're going to be getting the same exact thing just at a reduced price.
Yeah.
We're going to take care of the entire hassle of change for you. You're not going to have to do any heavy lifting. That's why I have a personal tech down the street. And so just keeping everything, all the possible objections they could have with it being a huge hassle, just hitting on those very, very specifically. You already have a satellite up there. He's just going to swap out that old one for a new one. It's going to go in the same spot. He's not going to put any new holes in your roof.
Yeah.
But yeah, just
saying those before they actually bring them up.
Exactly.
My coin term, actually somebody Facebook messaged me. I was like, did you make that up? It's called 8 Mile.
Yeah.
It's, I just say you 8 Mile them.
Yeah.
You come up with the objection before they do,
exactly.
So they have nothing to say.
Yeah.
So let's talk about urgency. So obviously to sell in 20 minutes, a lot of people are probably like, whoa, this is way too fast. I don't know if I want to make a decision today. Where's your card?
For sure.
I'll get back to you. What were some things you do to create some urgency to make same day?
Yeah, so creating urgency, I kind of had an upbeat demeanor while in their home.
It's who you're being?
Yeah, exactly. Upbeat, that makes a big difference. Using the word today a lot. This is what we're doing today. This is what we're doing today. He's just down the street. I'll get him here in a minute. Letting them know that they're not going to have to block out, 4 hours of their day. It's not going to be this huge process. And, the other thing is just telling them, hey, I know that you can think about this and that's great, but, I'm a professional. I've been doing this for several years. I can answer all your questions right now. There's a million other things that are on your mind and you probably want to worry about. TV's the last thing that's on your mind. Let's get this taken care of so you can worry about other things.
So you make it so it's like a positive. It's like, hey, I'm going to just do this for you now so that it's not like this thing you have to think about all the time.
Yeah,
cool.
Absolutely.
So you talked about this word choice, earlier that was, the power of, go into that.
So, there's words that we can use to help us in our sales process to make it quick and just very powerful. A couple of those words that I like to use and implement in my sales process personally is just the word yes, getting the customer to agree with you. Tony Robbins, he does this big seminar and he gets people to walk across, a pile of coals essentially.
Yeah.
And I remember hearing
It's a
him.
tough sale.
Yeah, I know, right? I know.
Hey,
it's hard to get someone to do that.
I'm going to sell you on Walking Across Fire.
Yeah.
He's good.
For sure. And I remember he had Oprah there, and she was going to be doing it, and she was pretty apprehensive. She was scared to do it, you know. She was hesitant, and he got the entire crowd around her to start cheering, yes, 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 and that's what made the difference for her. She walked across the coals, and she was fine. And so, if I can get my customer in the rhythm of saying yes, just small little yeses here and there, so that by the time I come up to the final yes, it's, oh yeah, I'm already in the rhythm of saying this, let's do it. And so right off the bat, hey, it's John, right? Yes. Hey, John, you guys still using that old satellite up there? Yes. Okay, just some of the older satellites, they tend to cut out with the storms?
Yes.
Yeah. Sweet, we're just here to fix that issue for you.
Yes.
And then, John, if you guys have had it for a while, you probably noticed your price has gone up?
Yes.
Sweet, we'll get that price down to where it needs to be. And then just transition into the home.
Powerful. So we call that in the ABCs of closing the yes, yes, yes close.
Yes.
It's
Absolutely.
the why.
Yep.
And it's just, it's powerful, and it's a sense of they're already on this yes train.
Yeah.
And for them at the end of the sale to be like, so we're going to do this, right? So like, they can't say no. It's like, oh wait, I've been saying yes so much. And so in the book, I actually used the example of like, hey, say silk 10 times fast.
Silk.
What do cows drink?
Silk. Or milk?
No, water, dude.
Oh, yeah.
So see how, it's just a mind game you can
Yeah.
play with somebody, right?
Yeah,
so it's
for
like,
sure.
you say it and you're like, wait, silk, milk. What? No, they drink water, right?
Yeah.
But
no,
because
true.
I told you to say silk 10 times, that's all you're thinking of, and it's the same thing. It's a mind trick almost to just be like getting them in that yes train.
Yeah.
Cool.
Absolutely.
So what other advice would you, like, how do you sell 600, right? So what strategies, tactics in the home do you use to really close people, or in your presentation you find super beneficial?
Yeah, so one of the things that I've come to realize in sales is that there's really only one pain point that you need to identify with the customer. Talk about that pain point, open up the wound, pour some salt in it, and then provide a solution to it. And so my goal for every single home that I get into is to identify that pain point as soon as possible. A lot of times I can identify that right on the doorstep. Hey, you guys are running old satellite, tends to cut out in the storms, right? They say yes, sweet, that's the pain point. I'm going to give them better signal reliability. It's not going to cut out when it's snowing and they're trying to watch the Super Bowl, you know? And so for me, it was just identifying the pain point as quickly as possible and focusing on that.
Yeah.
And so just focus on relevant content to the customer. Talk about what they want to talk about, not what I want to talk about.
So what are some good questions that you've, kind of mapped out for yourself in satellite, or even, it could be general, but like to kind of discover that pain point?
Yeah, for sure. So, signal reliability, that's a huge one. Some of the satellites tend to cut in the stores, and am I right? Yeah. Price is a big one as well. I don't focus too much on price. Obviously, you shouldn't sell on price a ton, but, over time, the way the TV industry works, they do raise the prices on customers. And so talk about that a little bit, the benefits of becoming a new customer and the price being lower for a certain amount of years.
Sorry to plug into this, but what if they have like cable or Netflix, or they're already on like a lower price? What do you do?
Yeah, so it's a good question.
Because I just had a satellite guy that hits me up. He's like, I want to do solar, this and that. And he's like, I'm out on a preseason trip out in who knows where. And the manager sucks. He didn't do any research. And everyone out here has cable.
Yeah.
And I'm like, can't speak to that, brother.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I'm sure there's a way, there's a will. Like, don't be a victim and figure it out.
For sure. So for me personally, and this is something I teach a lot of my guys, is place yourself in the best situations possible and get out of bad situations quickly. So if I'm in a customer's home and they tell me, hey, we don't watch TV, like it's against our religion, we're not a part of that, we just do Netflix, I'm going to say, cool, I'm going to move on to the next customer. Unless I feel like there's a potential sale there. I tell guys, I don't play basketball for a reason. I'm 5'11". I'm not tall. I can't compete with that. I'm not going to try to compete with that if it's not something that they want.
So find the people that want it.
Exactly. Find the people that want it, the people that are already experiencing pain with it, where I can actually be of value to them. Because I'll be the first person to walk out of a sale if I realize I'm not going to create any value for the customer.
Cool. So has there been times where you've convinced somebody to go from Netflix and chill to satellite? Like, I'm sure that's happened. Like,
yeah, it's happened for sure. Usually it's people that have had satellite before and they're like, oh, we're gonna cut the cable. You know, we're not into the satellite anymore. We're gonna go Netflix, and they realize, oh shoot,
I don't get to see any of the sports games.
I miss watching, my favorite teams. I miss watching the Super Bowl, stuff like that. And so I'll bring those up right away. Are you guys big sports fans? Well, sweet. We're gonna get your sports back for you.
Okay. So finding those pain points that they probably are missing out on, that they didn't realize that they love so much.
For sure.
Cool.
Yep.
Anything else from a sales perspective that you're like, man, this is like some nugget that everybody needs to know on how to sell big numbers?
Yeah. Man, there was something I read the other day. So if you haven't read the book, it's called Magic Words.
Yeah.
It goes through the 7 most just influential, powerful words in the English language. And one of the words that he talks about is the word but, B-U-T.
Not my butt, like B-U-T-T?
Not your butt, yeah.
Okay. That's powerful with my wife.
Yeah, I know, right?
Not just butt.
There you go. She's watching this right now. But using that with objections is huge. And so, for example, customer brings up, you're going to give me a great price for a couple of years. It's going to go up after that. What happens with that? I'll resolve that by saying, yeah, absolutely. It is going to go up over time. But for the next couple of years, you're going to be saving a ton of money on your bill and get brand new equipment.
Powerful.
And so that butt plug there, everything that comes before butt.
The butt plug.
Yeah, the butt plug.
The butt plug.
I know, right?
I love that.
the butt plug.
The butt plug. Okay.
The butt plug there, everything that comes before the word butt, it's almost as if it's erased, right? And then everything that comes after the word but is enhanced. Yes, your price is going to go up. That establishes trust. They can trust you, but it's erasing it. For the next 2 years, you're going to get a great price and brand new equipment. That's enhanced. And so that's something I've used with objections, and it's been a game changer. I like it.
What other of the 7 words? You have but, you have yes.
Yeah. Another one that he uses is the word because. Everyone is always trying to answer the why question. You're knocking on my door. Why are you here?
Yeah.
And the best way to answer the why, the best word to use is because. The reason I'm here is because you guys have an old satellite and your bill has gone up. I'm here to get you a better satellite and lower that price for you. People love the word because. Yeah, absolutely. It's powerful. People love the word because.
Cool. No, I want to get this book.
It's good. It's good.
It's interesting. I watched this. There's this lady that you want to speak at Door Orcon. Her name's Janine Driver, and she's a professional. She trains the CIA agents, and she trains in interrogation. She was like a cop forever and does like crazy interrogations. And I watched this video because she's a master on body language.
Yeah.
So she has like trainings on the power of words, and then she has the trainings on the power of body language.
Yeah.
And she's like, here's the 10 different body language tips. And she's like, so this indicates more like power. And then she's like, and this indicates like I'm calm and collected.
Yeah,
and then she's like, and then this is more, like the more your hands up when you're standing is the more nervous you are.
Yeah,
and so and it was crazy. Like she literally walked through the metaverbal and then walking through the verbal
language,
is it's just powerful in sales because a lot of people don't realize we create power in the way we have our tone, the word choice that we use,
Absolutely.
Like the emphasis on the butt plug, right?
But
plug. Pause. This is what you get, and it's
exactly.
like you said, they erase the past.
Yep.
That's powerful.
Yep, absolutely.
So let's kind of shift gears. So CrossFit champion, door-to-door champion, wife, life. You just had a baby, right?
We have one due in April.
I knew you were
baby girl on the way.
So how do you balance all of this stuff, right? And still maintain you're running 1 million salespeople.
That's a good question. I would say, I read this other book. It's called The 5-Second Rule by Mel Robbins. She talks about the importance of owning your morning. She says you have to own the morning. You have to be a boss in the morning. You have to stick to your schedule. And so for me, owning the morning has been key to be able to do all that. Getting up, making sure, I'm responding to emails, responding to my reps, making sure everything's in line. I know exactly what I'm going to be doing through each day. And just getting in that right frame of mind. Tony Robbins talks a lot about, peak state, getting into that in the morning. Just owning the morning, that's been huge for me, honestly. Making sure that I'm up on time and I'm getting to work, and making sure that, things are in the right place.
Cool. So, I know what we want to talk about. So that was one. Then the other one is training reps, because you're the VP of training.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people that are listening to this that are managers or VP of trainings and trying to build out their training modules. So you've done a phenomenal job, it looks like, with Neustar to continue to grow the averages and to increase their ability to sell. Talk to me about kind of what you've found successful to kind of help duplicate your success in the sense of training.
Yeah, for sure. So we created a training program last year at this time called Neustar University, just going through, salesmanship A through Z, everything that everyone needs to know to have success on the doors right away. And so really just trying to minimize that learning curve. We have a company policy that you can't knock a door unless you've been through Neustar University.
Powerful.
Everyone wants to come out and knock, hey, I'll get you out, I'll help you, but let's get you through our training program first. And so that's been key.
Because a lot of times we just throw them out to the wolves, and that's some of the biggest feedback I've gotten from like people that left me and like failed, and I'm always like, what was like one of the biggest things that you turned off? And he's like, honestly, I just didn't feel like I get any love at the beginning. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, so just making sure they have proper training, that they're getting through that training program before they hit the doors. Another thing that we are transitioning to a bit more, and I've come to a realization of over the years, is I can tell a guy exactly what to say, I can tell him exactly how to say it, but if he is not in the right frame of mind, if his attitude isn't where it needs to be, he's not going to be able to sell.
Who you're being.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not necessarily what you say or how you say it, but it's who you are when you're inside the customer's home. And so Grant Cardone, he talks a lot about attitude being senior to everything else in sales.
100%.
It's sometimes easy for a customer to say no to a great product. It's a lot harder for them to say no to a great attitude. And so just making sure that you're giving off...
Write that down if you didn't. Write that down if you're listening to this.
Yeah, he's got some good ones. But it's, what vibes are you giving off in a customer's home? Are you smiling? Are you making them laugh? I was having a conversation with one of our reps the other day, and he was like, honestly, when I get inside a customer's home, I'm like a stand-up comedian. I'm just trying to make them laugh.
Dude, it's like that Kenny Brooks guy. He sells so many freaking little window spray. Yeah. And it's like, freak. Like, the only reason they buy is because they want to buy from a great attitude.
Yeah, absolutely. And so just, having those little lines in place. Like, he's got a million of those little lines. Like, unlike Madonna, it hasn't been touched. I don't know, just whatever. But, just being yourself in customers' homes, focusing on who you are, the vibes that you're giving off, and just making a customer laugh. I think that's huge. Get them to lighten up and kind of ease the tension, because in door-to-door sales, you're a stranger in their home. They didn't call you up to come there. And so whatever you can do to ease that tension, give off those positive vibes, make them laugh, it's going to make a huge difference.
I always look at it as like gas break, gas break, gas break. Yeah. And that's like my sale. It's like, I'll be like blunt and bold, just like, boom, we're doing this, and like, but boom, we're doing just like hit him again, and they're like, oh, like just kind of like, oh yeah, I like him. Well, I don't like him. Oh, I like him again. And they just kind of like
absolutely.
Plow him over.
Yeah,
I mean, and there's funny. That balance of like, this gas push, break, and then, and that's where comedy comes into that.
Yeah.
And some people might say, well, I'm just not a funny guy.
Yeah.
Like, well, don't be someone you're not, but you have to be somebody that people care to be around.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I've even told guys, hey, if you don't feel like you're a funny guy, call me. I will give you some lines that you can plug in, and they'll be funny. They'll laugh, I promise.
Just say, practice your freaking joke. Become funny. Like, you can literally, it's so funny, because I went to a speaker, and I watched him speak 3 different times. I'm like, you used the same freaking joke, like, in all 3 things. Like, you literally wrote the joke, like, and it sounded so natural in all 3, and I'm like, I know where he's going. Got him. And it's just like, but that's like sales. You'll realize you just get on autopilot. You're like, I'll use this joke here. It works every freaking time. I'll use this joke here. Works every time.
It's true. And it's funny because, we feel like it's monotonous. We're saying the same thing over and over and over again. But we have to realize that we have to give every customer the same experience. We start over ground zero as we knock each door. And they haven't heard it before. And so just remembering that, I think that's important. Giving every customer that same experience of, going all out for every single one.
Huge. Yeah, a lot of times we just like lose energy throughout the day, and it's like by like 7, 8 o'clock we're like, and so we can. And it's just like really, like you look dead. Like you literally are like I'm like watching you, and just like I fell asleep like watching you.
Yeah.
So let's kind of to wrap things up. I want to ask just like a crazy story. What's been one of the craziest things that's happened to you on the doors? Because I'm sure you've knocked thousands of doors, and good old Borger, Texas. You probably ran into some meth heads, but like what have been some of the crazier moments?
So actually, funny story from this past summer. We have an office out in Little Rock, Arkansas, and if you haven't, I mean, you've been to Arkansas, so you know how the people are out there. They're just
skeptical.
they're just nutty. They're super nuts. But
dude, you go to Southern Arkansas, they're like racist out the wazoo. It's a nigger, and they're just like, whoa, like it's like 2017. Like where do you live?
Yeah, it's nuts. But no, Arkansas is a fun place. So went out there to Arkansas, had our correlation meeting, did sales training, and went out knocking and knocked on this door. 65-year-old lady comes to the door. She's pretty upbeat, positive, happy.
You're like, easy sale.
Yeah, easy sale. And she's like, yeah, I'm super interested. Absolutely. Just give me 1 second. And so I'm sitting out there on the porch. She goes into her house and comes back about 20 seconds later, and she's got a loaded handgun pointed at me.
Come shoot.
Yeah, she...
That's a good smile. Not tatted up.
Yeah, I know, right? But she's got a handgun pointed at me. She's just got a smile on her face. She's like, hey, you can come in, give your presentation. My husband died about a year ago, and so I'm kind of overprotective. But I have to point this handgun at you the whole time. And so without any hesitation, I just said, yeah, sure, let's do it. So
this is awesome. All right, I'm coming in.
Yeah, and so went through the whole presentation. She's like, yeah, that sounds good. Let's do it. And she's got a point at me the whole time, and I just stayed calm, cool, and collected. Didn't really let it affect me. Was looking at her eyes, not the handgun.
Only a 600 account rep would pull that one off.
But it was funny. So I call our office to run the order, and they're like, "Sweet, we're ready for the welcome call." And so I try handing her my phone, and she's got this gun pointed, and she doesn't budge. She is not putting down this gun to take this phone call.
Even after saying yes, I'm buying. He's obviously not going to eat me.
She is not budging. Awesome. And she's like, go ahead and put it on speakerphone and just hold it up to my mouth. And so I was like, all right, let's do it. And so she's taking the welcome call while she got the handgun out. And it was funny. I'll never forget that. I walked out and I was like, wow, that lady had a handgun pointed at me the whole time.
Comment on here if you're watching this live right now. Comment any gun story that you've seen, because I've had a fair share of gun ones. I'm sure a lot of you guys that have been in it a while, you've had guns pulled on you, but I've never heard it to where I actually sold the guy pointing a gun the whole freaking time. That's wild.
It was nuts.
Okay, so to wrap things up, last question. If you were to give one piece of advice to the whole door-to-door, I mean, a lot of people are listening to this. This is one of the greats. What advice would you give to the door-to-door space?
Yeah, I would say make your commitment to success a duty, a responsibility, almost like a divine obligation, if you will. Too often we think that success, is an option for us, a possibility. We're never going to achieve what we want to achieve unless we are 100% committed to the cause. And so almost making it like an ethical value to you. I have ethical values that I live by that are absolutes in my life. I'm not going to kill anyone. I'm not going to steal. These are the values that kind of make up who I am. Make success one of those absolutes in your life. Yeah. I will be successful. That's a choice that I've made no matter what happens, no matter what circumstance I find myself in. I'm committed to success.
People play the victim card way too much. They just make excuses like, I can't be successful because of this. I can't do that. It's like, just commit to success. You'll be successful.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Absolutely, yeah. Don't make success, this financial thing or this technical thing, but make it an ethical thing. I am living by my code of ethics as I am successful. That's how deeply and strongly I feel about having success.
That's powerful. Well, great. If you guys are watching this, if you're on Facebook Live or listening to the podcast or whatever, or add him on Facebook, Nathaniel Olson. He's one of the greatest. I've always looked up to him. Randomly, I'd always run into you at like restaurants. I'm like, that's the guy. That's like the Amarillo guru. And no, but he literally is one of the best out there. And so add him on Facebook. He'll be at Door to Door Con. You can meet him. And yeah, super excited to have I'm grateful. Like, this is fun. Good nuggets. Like, I found little nuggets.
Yeah,
so.
It's been good. No, I'm getting excited for Door to Door Con. We got our guys excited. January 26th and 27th.
Make it happen.
Make it happen.
Okay, brother. Thanks, dude.
Yeah, appreciate it.